Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Rants YouTube channel. Today we are back talking about more boxing, influencer boxing, whatever you want to call it. Jake Paul just had a fight 2 days ago. It was on a Friday night. Should have got this video out there yesterday, but I didn't. Oops. This is the start of Jake Paul's boxing journey to become world champion. And he thought, oh, I'll fight a smaller boxing novice. Or prospect, whatever you want to call it, and Andre August, someone no one's ever heard of, and all his pro fights have been on tiny stages in front of 20 people. And well, let's just say this was a planned demolition by Jake Paul. I mean, if you haven't seen the clip already, you probably have, but if you haven't, he knocked Andre August out with like a one punch uppercut. It was like picturesque. He fell perfectly, quite like Tyron Woodley did when he hit Tyron Woodley with that overhand. I mean, it was a great knockout. I've seen a lot of people say it was fake. Is as theoretical as that could be, and hypothetically looking at it, you could say that. But it wasn't. I mean, when you see the slow-mo, you see how it hit his head, you're gonna be like, yeah, that knocked him out. But at the same time, I know it seems so perfect, but that's because it is. It's perfect planning from Jake. He's got all the money and all the attention he needs to make any fight possible, and that's what he's done. He's made the perfect fight possible, and he's went, look, I've got a pro boxer, which to be fair is a pro boxer, a good pro boxer to fight, but he's 10-1-1. And if you know, if a pro boxer was really good in his first 12 fights, he wouldn't lose and draw. You know what I mean? So for his first 10 fights, and the clips we've seen from him, the way he is, he's not very technical. He's got a bit of head movement and some power and some decent technique, but he's not too technical. You know what I mean? He's more of a knockout fighter. And I mean, he didn't seem ready for the stage either. I mean, in the press conferences and everything, you could just tell he was nervous. You know what I mean? And who wouldn't? Not, the arena wasn't that big on that night, but Andre August didn't know that. You know what I mean? Andre August is thinking, shit, I'm stepping into a fight with Jake Paul. The attention is massive, and he's got all this attention on him, and I don't think he was ready for it. Because if you've seen the stages he's fought on before, it doesn't really require that much attention. It's almost like fighting in a gym. But this time he's fighting on a global stage where loads and loads of people, millions of people will be watching. Millions of people will be watching, and I think the nervousness got to him because he was dead frozen, he was dead stiff. Ariel Helwani said he looked terrified, and to be fair, he did. He looked absolutely terrified, and Jake was there for this. Jake knew this. Jake knew he'd pick someone who never been on a big stage. Jake knew he'd pick someone that was stiff and heavy and looked really tough, but wasn't. Jake knew he'd go in there and knock him out in one round and make it easy and say he's beat a pro boxer. You know what I mean? So just to let you know, it's no surprise. But I mean, not to discredit anything from Jake, because it was absolutely beautiful. It was a great performance, for the 2 minutes that it lasted. But the question is where we go from here, right? Because there's plenty of potential fights for Jake Paul. Like, he's talking about a Tommy Fury rematch. I think that would be great. I think Jake Paul in a Tommy Fury rematch would beat Tommy Fury. I think he'd probably stop Tommy Fury, because Tommy Fury, he's shown his levels now. He barely beat Jake Paul. He did beat Jake Paul, but he barely beat him. And he didn't beat KSI. I don't care what those judges say. He didn't beat KSI. And it's funny, on the topic, John Fury's saying, oh, we wouldn't fight KSI again, but would fight Jake Paul. Why? Because Tommy Fury actually beat Jake Paul, right? And they can confidently say they beat Jake Paul. And there's more money in another Jake Paul fight. But whereas KSI, they weren't sure they beat KSI. They probably had a lot of trouble there, right? Even John Fury thought KSI won. So, of course, I wouldn't do another KSI fight. So, for Jake, there's the Tommy Fury rematch, which would get a lot of money, a lot of attention, and to be fair, it would be successful for Jake. He said he wanted a Floyd Mayweather fight, but Floyd Mayweather ducked. Well, that's just pointless, because if he's getting a Floyd Mayweather fight, it's going to be an exhibition. Jake doesn't want an exhibition. Jake wants a pro fight. But Floyd Mayweather wants his perfect 50-0 record, so it's not going to happen. So, if it was to happen, it would be an exhibition. And it would be the most boring fight ever, because Floyd Mayweather is the greatest of all time. And he would beat Jake in the most boring way possible. It would be so degrading. All Jake Paul fans would be there going like, what the fuck is this? We've just been like, because Floyd would just toy with him. Floyd would just use his head movement and just, can't touch me. And would just move and just wouldn't let Jake hit him. And he would just embarrass Jake, really. And it'd be the most boring thing you've ever seen. And knowing Jake, he'd be cocky and be like, let's do 10 to 12 rounds. I'm sorry, it's a stupid fight. Don't make it unless it was for a pro fight and Floyd Mayweather promised to actually stand in the middle and bang, which I still think Floyd would win anyway. But another fight, is the KSI fight, which Everyone's complaining this person's stuck and this person's stuck and They're both doing boxing. They're both booking opponents when they're trying to book each other. KSI keeps going down in weight. Jake Paul keeps going up in weight. At one point, they were at the same weight. And then KSI's went from fighting at like 180 down to 175, 170. Jake's went from fighting at 180 up to 185 to 190 to now. He was 199 pounds in the fight he had 2 days ago. And then KSI's last fight, he was at 180 pounds. Jake Paul's 20 pounds heavier. And KSI only did 180 pounds. I don't know, it was 183, but KSI only did that because Tommy Fury begged for that weight. They agreed to Tommy Fury's weight, but KSI's amount of rounds, which I think was fair. But KSI said that was too big for him. KSI wanted to fight 175 or 170. Like, they're gravitating in opposite directions, and then they're going, no, you fight me, you fight me. But no, they're booking different opponents. I mean, 2022, KSI made his return, but obviously he wasn't going to fight Jake Paul on his return. To be a bit stupid, he would have got clobbered. He was going to fight Alex Wasabi, but he couldn't. So then he goes, right, fight, I'll fight 2 fights one night. Fight Swarms, who talked shit about him, beat him, which was fair. And then fought Pineda to say I beat a pro boxer before Jake did, basically mocking the fact that Jake hadn't beat a pro boxer. But then literally 2 months after that, Jake Paul fought Anderson Silva. So again, gravitated in different directions. Jake Paul's begging for the Tommy Fury fight. So then at the start of 2023, while Jake Paul's preparing for a Tommy Fury fight, KSI sneaks in a fight. I suppose it was meant to be against Dylan Dallas, but he pulls out, so it's against another YouTuber again. So Jake Paul's making fun of him because it was against a YouTuber, and then Jake Paul's fought Tommy Fury, and Jake Paul's lost to Tommy Fury. That puts a halt to everything because KSI's not lost. Jake Paul's lost. Jake Paul's like, well, I fought better opponents. All these points are fair. And then we get to May, and KSI's booked another fight against another pro boxer and goes, I'm going to beat another pro boxer. Ends up getting a no contest because he elbowed him, but let's be honest, he already had Joe Fournier running, and like, Joe Fournier was not winning that fight. He was going out in that round, that moment, or the next round. So yeah, and that's when KSI called out Tommy Fury, because Tommy Fury saw another money opportunity. So then that fight was building, and we got that fight, and then Jake was fighting Nate Diaz in the summer. KSI fought Tommy Fury, and then Jake Paul, Andre August. They're both picking fights and going different weights and going the opposite ways. They're not going to end up fighting. And when they do, I don't know how well it's going to go down, because it could be such a big anticipated thing that it ends up being so shit. Because KSI, let's be honest, right now, skill levels, Jake Paul's beating KSI. He's now naturally bigger, and he's got more skill, got more experience, and he's fighting better opponents. And KSI, if he is to beat him, is probably going to do that. Let's make it difficult. I want to see them both slug it out. And to be honest, the fight is only worth it if KSI is going to win, because Jake Paul doesn't need the KSI win at this point. He's going to be a pro boxer. He's not a YouTuber anymore, right? Even though he has a podcast and still uploads on YouTube, but you know, he's not going to be a world champion, and he's fighting pro boxers. And to be honest, Jake Paul doesn't need the KSI fight. It's not there for him. KSI needs the Jake Paul fight more than Jake needs it. And to be honest, they could both just call the fight off and just be like, right, it's not happening, let's be honest. Right, but it would make more sense for the fight to happen in JJ win, because Jake could come back from a JJ win and be like, that's fine, whatever, I'm still going to continue my boxing career. If KSI loses to Jake Paul, that's lost all the hype for KSI, and KSI is not going to go back on boxing now, is he? Like, to me, the fight only makes sense if KSI is absolutely confident he wins, which if I was his team, I wouldn't right now. But they should still do the fight. Definitely, I think KSI should definitely win that one. But it's not happening. But what a good fight I think would happen would be Jake Paul, Vidal Riley. Vidal Riley's got a YouTube audience. Jake Paul says he doesn't have a name, but he has more of a name than Andre August. And if he's fighting no names, he can fight Vidal Riley. Even though Vidal Riley was KSI's former trainer, was Gibbs' trainer, has 1 million subscribers, so he's got a bit of clout. And he's got an English championship. Now, I know Jake Paul wants a world championship in the cruiserweight division, but how does an English championship sound? It's a start, you know what I mean? You got to start small. So he's got a belt that Jake could want. He's a more skilled boxer, which could be a level up for Jake. And they're both around about the same weight and similar height. I think it would be a perfect fight, because I think Vidal Riley would really test Jake Paul, because Vidal Riley's got skill. Because Vidal Riley could fight Tommy Fury, but I don't think Tommy Fury wants the smoke. But yeah, I think Vidal Riley would be the perfect fight for Jake Paul. I do think Vidal Riley wins that though, because I can't lie, I don't think Jake Paul would. Nah, Vidal Riley's got way too much experience, and he's too good. He's too good. He would beat Jake Paul by unanimous decision. I don't think he'd stop him. I think he'd showcase boxing. think that's what, if he was to stop him, it would be a referee's stoppage. I don't think he puts Jake out cold, 'cause I think Jake's got more actual power than Vidal. But Vidal Riley is just too skilled of a boxer. But yeah, that's my rant about where Jake Paul goes next. Congrats on the knockout. But depending on who the opponents are in the future, I don't know if... Not right now. Not World Championship material yet. But maybe one day, because there's actually potential there. But yeah, that's been it from me. Just a rant. I know rants are boring, but you don't have to watch if you don't want to, but please do. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Non-stop, on job, say less. It's tweeting and talking, better mind that you're walking, say less. Sometimes giving a mic, but sometimes I gotta say less.